2, 3, 4.
Good morning, my brothers and sisters. On this episode 311. That's my 311 guitar sound, if you didn't know that. On the Good Morning Guys podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on this fine morning, afternoon, evening, or night as we talk about the game of life amidst the other games we love to watch and to play. I'm one of your hosts, the Brazilian Mountaineer and Transition Ninja, Lucas Ham Swisher. With me to my left, the judge, jury, and executioner of fake news and spoilers, Patrick Novacell.
What other sounds do you know? I would love to know. You know 311 sounds.
A kazoo sound.
Yeah. How? Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Nice.
Michael
Didn't know you could do that.
Door. Hallelujah.
Cool. Learn something new every day.
Yep, that's right. Full of surprises. Below to my bottom for the first time in a while. You're not usually to my bottom, right?
No.
He's to the bottom right.
He is. That's right, to the bottom center. The former final member of the GMG Quadfecta with music in his heart, Doctor Who on his brain, and La Carreta in his old stomacho, Marc Boucher.
Whoa, amber is the color of your energy. Whoa, shades
It's so
of
on point. We're gonna get copyright strike. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Hey, it's less than
he has
15 seconds. Yeah.
Oh,
that's right.
Oh, that's it. Okay, you got another few seconds. Go ahead.
I'm timing him. I'll be timing him all night. Make a bunch of 14-second
You want to
clips.
know what brings me here? No, sorry. Go ahead.
Don't apologize, my friend.
Yeah.
Never.
Don't
Not on
stop.
311 day. All right. To my Cat E corner. You might not know who he is. In fact, I don't know who he is. He just showed up. So we're getting to know tonight.
He found the link and showed up.
Strolling in here.
Put a link out there. And he just happens to be a Luke. So
GMG data breach of 2024. He just
we haven't
found
decided yet if I'm his father, but we're still working on that. We're still trying to decide what the
hello.
But yeah, thanks for joining us. Marc is actually going to officially introduce you. I'm just giving you the
fancy
Fire GMG edition where I just make it up as I go. So
okay, now I'm looking forward to hearing what Marc has to say.
No doubt. So
Sorry.
Marc, go.
Okay, so this right here is Luke Filipiak. He is the director of missions for an organization called Love Thy Nerd, and
Nice.
so he also goes by the name of FrostByte. He streams quite a bit, and welcome to the show, Luke.
Hey, nailed it. And you got my last name. You asked that earlier, and so spot on. Nailed my last name.
Listen, with a last name like Boucher, like I know what it is to have people jack up your name, and so I ask every time.
Yeah.
What?
I used to think it was
Boucher? Voucher.
I thought it was Butcher this whole time.
When did this
yeah,
happen?
that was news to me too. But yeah, happy to
Yeah,
be
like
here. Thanks for having me,
Voucher.
guys. I'm looking forward to talking nerdy stuff.
Talk nerdy
Yes,
to me.
sir. You came to the right place.
Yeah.
All right. Well, obviously, you work quite a bit with Love Thy Nerd and things like that, and of course, you are a nerd yourself. And so, first and foremost, tell us a bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from. I'm not going to use that phrase that
You should.
No,
I'm not doing
you
it.
got to.
No,
If
you
you're not
have
gonna
to.
do it. I'm
you
going
have to.
Luke, who's your daddy and what does he do?
Oh man. I don't know if I'll get to that last question.
That's fair.
Actually I might, you never know. But my name is Luke Filipiak, as you heard. I am the director of missions at Love Thy Nerd. I reside in Southern Indiana. I'm from kind of all over the place.
All right.
Both my parents.
How close to
moved
Fort
all
Wayne?
over. Not very close to Fort Wayne. I'm like
Fair enough.
the closest to Louisville as you can get without getting into
Okay. So you're deep south,
deep
Indiana.
south. Yeah.
All right, nice.
But yeah, we're basically Louisville, but we're on the sunny side of the river, and it's all rainbows and sunshine. Sorry to all you Louisville people listening to this podcast right now.
you just chased them out. They're done.
Yep.
Yeah,
They're
sorry.
leaving. There they
There
go.
goes your viewership.
Thanks a lot.
But
I mean, they're
like,
not running away too fast. I mean, you said Louisville. I mean, if you said like, all right,
Yeah,
all
you did pronounce it
Louisville
right.
guys
Yeah,
out there.
You Louisville.
But I mean, I lived in several places: Wisconsin, Wyoming, Guam, and
Wow, that's
Ooh. Well,
Yeah.
you threw in. I thought we were going with places.
No,
so
yeah, I threw
we're
you-
going to be
threw
like
you out for
Wales, West Virginia,
Yeah.
where I'm from.
nope.
Just an opportunity.
Yeah, I maybe I got to work on that. But and now I'm in Indiana, so it wouldn't have worked anyway.
darn.
Maybe West Indiana. Nah, never mind.
West
both my
Indiana.
parents-
Yeah.
We're in ministry and moved kind of from place to place doing that kind of stuff. So been in that
Yeah.
my whole life, and a nerd my whole life. I stream. I play video games. I play board games. That's what those are behind me.
Nice.
Lots and lots of board games.
I've got
Nice.
around 150 of them.
Nice.
Just a few.
Just a few.
So
But yeah, I
what's
like.
what
Yeah.
top 5 board games of?
Oh, I knew this question was coming.
There it is.
and
The gauntlet has
I
been
was-
thrown.
The guy with 150 can pick top 5, coming from the guy
so
who
I
always has like
actually-
a dozen honorable mentions.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me
Ranked
just
1 to 150.
let me give you my
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Let me give you my top 150.
Top 5 with 145 honorable mentions.
Exactly.
So I guess we're
We
doing that
accept.
6-hour podcast now.
Let's go.
Yeah, 6 hours later. Okay, so that's a tough question. I would say off the top of my head right now, my recent favorites, there's one that just came out, Forges of Ravenshire, simple dice placement, kind of worker placement-esque engine builder, where you're cute little woodland creatures firing up forges and making like fulfilling orders for weapons and armor and all sorts of stuff, shields. So
All right.
That
so
one's
it's
super
like
fun.
Keebler elves mixed with Pokemon.
more no.
I just made
Like,
that up.
yeah,
I
no,
appreciate
not
the
at all,
effort.
in the
not at all.
dark. It's like little animals and yeah.
It's just little woodland creatures. Like there's a little weasel and
All
I
right,
think a
cool.
badger and
All right,
Gotta watch
Lucas,
out for
you
the
got to
bad
come up
bird.
with all the names of the other 4 that come up.
Okay.
Yeah, Luke, don't say the names, so Lucas will make it up.
go for it. Take a stab at it. No.
Like I'm making it up with no reference. Like it's just like okay, his number
like making
4
up games.
is Rotary Girder. I got a board game, so
Monopoly. No.
Oh, get out of here.
No, I've
No.
talked
No,
about Monopoly
Mandalorian.
on a
Have you
podcast, and it was not a
played
good
Mandalorian? Have you played Mandalorian Monopoly?
one. No.
Dude,
There is
best
so
Monopoly
I thought you were
out
actually
there.
Is it just Monopoly with Mandalorians?
No, you actually
different.
fight like stormtroopers. You fight Gideon, not Gideon,
Okay.
Moff
Moff
Gideon.
Gideon, yeah.
Like
Okay.
you Grogu gets passed around everybody. Like it totally makes Monopoly fun.
So
And
there is I have not played that, but there is a Mandalorian game was just released at Gen Con a couple weeks ago. That's like a story-driven game, so you can play it solo. You can have like a team and go through like a campaign, basically. But it's all Mandalorian. It's pretty cool looking,
Right.
But I didn't get my hands on
Cool.
it, unfortunately.
Mm.
What else? There's one called
you got 4
Mistwind.
more.
4 more. Okay. Number 4. This not in any order. It's called Mistwind. It's like
Okay.
Ticket to Ride on steroids, and you're
Ooh,
flying.
yeah.
whales.
That's a
Instead of
big
train.
hit with my family. Ticket to Ride. That's
Yeah.
been a past year we've been playing that. That's one of our go-tos.
It's a good one. It's a classic. I have it down here somewhere. There's a game
Now,
called.
quick question.
Yes.
When you board game, who is the usual like gathering of people? Like for me, it's a family of 4.
Oh,
So
sure.
we play mostly 4 people games. What's your setup?
I mean, okay. Well, at home,
You're never going to get
usually...
through this top 5, by the way. I'm just going to keep rejecting
No, this
questions.
is... I love this.
You're going to answer 12 questions within each answer.
There's no dead air. This is great. It's just constantly going.
Yeah.
At home, it's usually my wife and I. So we've got like 2-player games that we play.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
And then we have like a church, or we have like a community game night. It's hosted at our church, but it's like for the community. So community comes
cool.
in, and that's anywhere from 40 up to, we had 70 people some nights.
Wow.
That come play games.
Nice.
And then
Let's
if I'm
go.
at a convention, that's anywhere between, a few
Thousands.
hundred to 80,000 of my closest board game friends.
Come on over. We'll play.
I got next.
But at the big ones, so Gen Con, it's the largest board game convention in the US. It's in Indianapolis. And that one, they sold out of all of their badges at 71,000 people. And those big ones, when we're at those, that's when I play the fewest games, because there's just no time. There's so many other things going on. Yeah. And then the one with, like 300-400 people, that's when you actually play games.
Cool.
So,
Good.
You want number 3 now, or have another question?
Go for
If
it.
you insist, go ahead.
I'll throw out Dice Throne. It's basically battle Yahtzee. If you like Yahtzee,
Wow.
it's like 1 versus 1, or you could do like a 3-player kind of free for all, or a 4-player like 2v2. And you select these characters. There's some like
write this down.
Mystical character, like kind of license free characters. So like a treant and a cursed pirate or a moon elf. You can play as those characters, or recently they've had some Marvel licensing. So you got Spider-Man.
Here we go. Let's go.
Captain Marvel and Black Panther, and their next set of 8 that's coming out is X-Men.
Let's go.
With
X-Men 97.
What's that?
X-Men 97 theme.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Man.
A lot of like
Looks similar.
Cyclops in there, Iceman, Psylocke. Who else? Man, it's been a minute since
Wolverine.
Wolverine, obviously.
I mean, come on.
And then they made a side character. So it's like they have 8, and then you could get a singular box of just Deadpool.
Nah.
So they made like X-Men and then Deadpool. So I've got those coming. But that's super fun.
Right, cool.
So I'm looking at this Dice Throne, like the chair throne, not throw dice.
Okay. I'm like, that's pretty on the nose. Like, are there other ways to do dice, like dice drop?
Yes.
Yeah.
Shuffle?
No, there's so many expansions to this game. Oh my goodness!
For the podcast viewers,
this game looks awesome.
Hey, there it is.
It's a big box. This is
wow. Those are big dice.
Yeah,
they're like
Dice the size of your head.
Yeah,
it's got like 8 characters in here. So this is like
all right,
basically a 2-player game, but it's Super Smash rules, like pick your character type deal. So
Choose your character.
that sounds cool.
What else? Distilled. That's another one that's up there for me.
Is that
It's
like
all
a
about-
beer?
Okay,
Beer thing?
It's all about
that sounds like
distilling
brewery?
alcohols. Yeah.
Really?
All
It's like you're just trying to have the best distillery.
That's cool.
I like it.
so is it like Ticket to Ride, where you're connecting all the little things to get, or is it? I'm curious to know how it all connects. Like, what is
what's the main?
the mechanics of it, or do you actually make?
It's like
alcohol?
It's like resource. Yeah, it's
Like,
actual. Like,
is it
go
like
out
a chemistry
and-
set?
Yeah,
It's like a
spend
kit.
millions of dollars.
This will take us 5 weeks. We gotta just, let it just ferment.
Oh, I
and
knew
this
I
is
shouldn't have chosen like whiskey. That's going to take 4 years to brew.
That's how we're playing a 4-year game. 3 years in, we moved,
yeah.
but we're figuring it out.
Is anyone still playing?
Can't start yet.
Um,
Not quite the right vintage. I just can't.
Yeah. And then we'll go like, let's see. It's not even back here. My wife probably took it. I'll go with small box game. Literally could fit in your pocket. It's called Confusing Lands. It's a simple like card drafting game. So you deal out 2 cards each turn. It's a 2-player game. You choose a card, your opponent chooses a card, and then you swap the remaining card, and then the other person gets that card, and you get the one that they rejected. Each card is 2-sided. One has a scoring, like it's got like a little cloud on it that has scoring. So it's like score for every mountain that is on the edge of your land, or score the largest pasture. And so it's like a grid. And you're just laying these cards down, forming your land and gaining points. The catch is your clouds are negative 10 points. And so you want to kind of manage your expectations of like, okay, I think I can achieve this. I can get more than 10 points for this. Otherwise, if you don't even achieve like one of your goals, that's minus 10 points, putting you in the hole. So it plays in like 5 to 10 minutes. Super short, super quick, but a great little 2-player.
As long as you keep your head out of the clouds.
Yeah.
But
and then it sounds like Settlers of Catan a little bit. Is there any connection?
To that game? No, not at all.
Fair enough. That's all I got. My references are far fewer than yours. So
we're more console gamers around here than board gamers.
That is true.
Although we are.
I have one board game. I have a WWE board game.
Is it Monopoly?
It's a card game. It's a battle game.
Hey, you got Mario Life. That counts. That's a board game.
Man, I wouldn't consider those like. I mean, those are board games, but
there's a board, man, and you move pieces around it.
We have like 3 versions of Life. We have like 16 versions of Uno. Those are the games that we play in the house.
But Uno's not a board game.
Here in this household, we're huge the Oatmeal Exploding Kittens fans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we're all about like
we're all about
I said in this household.
Yeah.
As in here, not where you are.
Okay.
No.
I do have that game though.
Yeah, trying to teach him Exploding Kittens is an absolute nightmare, especially when
experience I'll never forget.
But no,
Fireball.
I'm here making memories. That's what I do. All right.
Yeah.
You don't even remember. Shush.
Whether they're good or bad, or whether I remember them, it doesn't matter.
But the memories are made.
Yes.
It's fair. It's fair. You set a high bar.
I think that was 5 though. I think I had 5 games there.
Yeah,
you did. You got it. You reached it. Congrats.
You win.
That's the podcast. Thanks for sticking around, everyone.
Yep. I'm glad you made it. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit, just switching over, tell us a little bit about Love Thy Nerd and what it's all about, what their mission is, what their goals are ministry-wise and things like that. And for those who might not know, because there are some who know. I know you and I have some connections with some other podcasters and things like that. But there are those that may not be familiar. So certainly tell us about the ministry.
Yeah. So at its core, Love Thy Nerd exists to be the love of Jesus to nerds and nerd culture. And the way we do that, the way we go about that is just building like bridges between like the gap between church culture and nerd culture. So historically, the church has looked down upon nerd culture. Think of the satanic panic and things like that.
Yeah.
To one extreme, but even in some cases, just like push people aside, or saying nerd culture is unimportant. There's better things to focus on. But then on the other side too is, there's in nerd culture, there could be some hatred towards the church. And so we want to be able to change both mindsets and show, hey, not all Christians are demeaning. Not all Christians are pushing, nerd culture out of the church. And at the same time, hey, church, there's, not all nerd culture is bad. Like there's good, there's beauty, there's art. as well as there's like fantastic tools to build community and relationships through that. And so, yeah, we do both. We have missions where we go, like I was talking about Gen Con. We took a team of 26 missionaries to Gen Con that has 71,000 people at it, just attending to do something that they love. So we get to plug in and go to a mission field that we like speak the native language of board game. And then we have a website with just tons of articles, everything from something as simple as like, here's our MCU watch list. Like, this is what you should catch, to, hey, here's a Christian defense of Magic the Gathering, and
Nice.
stuff like that. We have a whole podcast network with some great programming. We've got an internet radio station with those podcasts are on it, other shows, music, you name it. We stream. We have an online community between Facebook and Discord. So there's all sorts of stuff.
Awesome. Now, when you guys go to conventions and things like that, is there like, do you have like your own area set up where you have like, I noticed like mostly you guys go to like board game conventions mainly.
Yeah.
Is it just like a setup where people just come and play games there? And then do you guys like just meet people where they're at and just kind of talk with people, or do you like, is there like, do you have like a set way of, sharing like the gospel with people, or is it just like a, hey, we just want a cool place to hang, and then you come into our community and then we share the gospel that way? How does that work with you
Yeah.
guys?
So our trips are twofold. The first half of it are like us getting plugged in with companies, publishers, designers that are in that space. So we don't go in and like rent a booth ourselves to like bring people in. We look for the need that is in that community. And so a lot of these publishers, a lot of these, like even you could say the same for the video game industry, of some of these teams, developers are small teams. And so these companies sometimes are just family members. And they're there. They forked out a lot of cash to be there to try to sell their games and promote their games. And we come in and we see that need. Like, we don't have a need really to like have a booth, but these guys, this is their livelihood. And so
Sure.
we see that need, we get plugged in and we can help them. Like, hey, I noticed, like, do you need a break? Like, it's just you. I've seen, this is like day 3 and I've only seen you here. Do you need a like break? Let me stick around so like I can earn your trust. I'll watch your booth. If you have to go to the bathroom, I will go get you some food. Have you eaten lunch yet? Do you need coffee? Like basic needs where we try to show up and be, loving in that way.
Serving.
Yeah. And then also like we can partner with some of these bigger companies that have like more of a name for themselves and like are well known in the industry, but we can get plugged in with them and kind of do the same thing, because like even some of the big publishers, they have very small teams too, and they're dependent on like hired work or volunteers or different things. And so we can plug in our workers. And if you're a Christian, we're called to a level of excellence. Like God requests, or God demands, like our best.
Sure.
And so putting our best foot forward, offering him everything that we have, in this sense is like, hey, we're going to step into this space. We're going to learn these games as best as humanly possible, and we're going to sell the crap out of them. So you guys could go home and provide for your family. That gets us, one, it just gets our foot in the door. 2, it loves them well by just helping them make their living. But 3, it earns us that right to share, that opportunity to share our faith with them. And time after time, that allows us to do that. So I call that our foot washing mission. So bringing people lunch, demoing games, picking up trash, restocking shelves. There's nothing glamorous about that. That's us just kind of serving in that way. The second half is kind of what you were saying of, hey, let's go out. Let's be where the people are. Let's meet people where they're at. Sit down, play games with people, like in a sense, break bread, like sit around a table is very, communal. And first and foremost, we just want to love the people across the table from us as best as humanly possible. If that means, hey, we're just going to sit down, play a game with you, listen to your story, like people around a game in a space that they find safe, like this is like a convention, like that's their happy spot. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and so playing a game with someone, it's like people open up. People love talking about themselves. And so being able to hear people's stories, like get all the details, know their name, know what they do, like what's their favorite games, what's down to their favorite game mechanics. You just get to know people. And then same, as we're in the booth, like you earn that opportunity. People are like, oh, well, I've been talking enough about myself. What about you? It's like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, well, let me tell you.
Door open.
Yeah. Yeah. Door wide open. Sometimes, this at Gen Con, it got brought up. This guy like was talking to this guy. I told him like, oh yeah, Love Thy Nerd. We're a faith-based organization. I'm here to play games with people and tell nerds Jesus loves them. And he's like, cool, I'm an atheist. But we still got along. We still had really good conversation. And he was the one driving that conversation, asking like, okay, you called this a ministry. Like, where's the ministry in that? And so really cool opportunities like that. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I was curious, Luke. When could you maybe speak to this? Would require you to take a little step back in time, but
Sure.
speak to the transition from. And this is something that I really naturally was drawn to when I became a missionary, but then also wanted to connect with people on a non-traditional ways, and it was video games for me. I'm a missionary here in Brazil. I'm from West Virginia and went to school in Ohio. But video games for me was a buffer, especially when there was language barriers and stuff.
Sure.
But for you, could you share maybe a little more your personal side of things where your involvement, because like you said, you've been a part of missions your whole life because your parents were missionaries. And so what was the transition like for you to go from a focus of a more traditional based missionary ministry mindset to board games and conventions and stuff?
So kind of a long story, and I'll try to keep it under 6 hours for Patrick here.
Okay. So with questions, that'll be 12 hours.
If Patrick starts playing games back there. No.
Oh, we've hit the 6 hour mark, guys. Whoops.
All right. So fresh out of college, this game dropped called Destiny from one of my favorite game developers.
We've heard of that. We
Bungie.
actually we have a guy on here that's not here that has played 6,000 hours of that game.
Is this the same guy that has beef with Spider-Man?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have some things to talk about.
I need to meet this guy. No.
You do.
So Destiny drops. I'm out of college. I have a job, but like, and a relationship with my now wife, but like, that's it. It's job, girlfriend, Destiny. That's my life.
That sounds like most Destiny players. So that makes sense.
So if you're familiar with Destiny, I was doing a raid on each character every week. I was grinding that out. I had like every weapon, every quest done. Like I was just addicted, to just put it bluntly. And I like it got to a point where again, Aisha, my wife, at the time, she was like, I like hardly see you. And bit of a rough patch, but like ultimately, short version is God kind of got a hold of my heart there of just like, man, this is a waste of time. And at least the way I was approaching it. Yeah. And I was ready to like just chuck my Xbox because part of my upbringing, I was independent fundamentalist. If you know what that is, you know what that is. But a ton of rules. Let's just leave it at that.
Yep.
And so, if something makes you stumble, like if video games cause you to be addicted to video games, you throw it out. Like I grew up throwing CDs with, a drum in the soundtrack into the fire. Like, and so I was like ready to toss my Xbox and like just move on with my life and fix things. Thankfully, by the grace of God and through great counseling and friendships, people are like, hey, and I tell this to everyone, like the best piece of advice when it came to that was like, God is bigger than blank. And so in this case, God is bigger than video games or just gaming in general. And because of that, he can redeem that time. He can take something that you are addicted to and he can use that to build relationships instead of tear them down and isolate yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
so from that point on, I just had a different outlook. So back then I dabbled in the YouTubes. I made some like, I'm like, how do I meet people? How do I like build community? So it's like I dabbled in the like where is Zer videos every weekend and stuff like that. And just my outlook changed. Then through some events, like ended up moving, job got crazier, started, like got married, and just had like no time for it anyway. So not that I threw it aside, it's just like my time got filled elsewhere. And so then fast forward some time, this little, world event called COVID hit, and everyone was stuck at home. Everyone was like thirsty for community. And I'm like, I wonder if I could dust off the old like YouTubes and Twitch just to kind of build community. And at this point, again, like I was actually before that hit, I was in ministry for a very long time. I got burnt out, like just being in your stereotypical ministries, colleges, churches. I'm an audio engineer, so I would do a lot of audio work, like crazy office hours, weekends, late nights, stuff like that. And I was just getting burnt out. And so I'm like, I'm done with ministry. Got a new job in marketing, and then during that, COVID hit. And then I was like, oh, let me build this community thing. Started meeting more people in this space where I thought I was like the only Christian on Twitch, and which I think every streamer that is a Christian says the same thing. Like, I didn't know there was other people like me. So I started building that community, meeting more people. And through that is when I met Love Thy Nerd. And so my time building that community, trying to redeem the time, like I'm already playing video games, I'm going to do this thing. I was done with ministry though, like pursuing this marketing thing. Then boom, here's Love Thy Nerd. We meet. They tell me about their ministry. I tell them my aspirations. I'm like, I'm not in it to get big. You're doing what I want to do, so let me do that. And then, push came to shove. I left, I got out of this marketing gig and then started doing ministry again full time through Love Thy Nerd. So it's kind of just like this whole, like, I was done with it, and then God wrote me back in. But there was just something refreshing about being able to use, my nerdy passions, again, relating it to that time where I was like, hey, God's bigger, can redeem the time. And I've kind of held on to that all through now. And I've been at LTN, I want to say 4 years almost. So
nice.
Yeah. Awesome.
That wasn't too long. That was well paced.
That wasn't 6 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, once you got to COVID, that part was way shorter than COVID was. So good job.
Yeah.
That felt way more succinct. And
that's not saying much, but
dragging out.
It is accurate.
That's cool though.
Yeah. I definitely. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that, there was a window of time where I feel like most of us Christian nerds, especially those of us that were on Twitch for a period of time, we have these moments where we're like, well, let's just build community online. And I feel like we did that to a degree with Good Morning Guys, with our podcast. But for me personally, like when I came to Brazil and I got back into gaming while in Brazil over the past 12 years, and recognizing that it was a buffer between people where we didn't speak the same language. It was a buffer between when we didn't have the same faith. Like it just I just found with the same thing that you do through Love Thy Nerd. And it was just like, this is a no brainer. Like it's the parable of the shrewd manager when Jesus is saying, good job, man. 'Cause you're using the world's, the world's stuff to make friendship and to build relationship. So that's awesome to encounter another pocket of people that are doing that and redeeming gaming. And so
Yeah.
very cool.
Like I said, I was very encouraged. Like, praise God, no one's doing it by themselves, and like there's
Right.
other people with other talents, other skills, different levels of charisma. Like, if it was up to any one of us, we'd all be doomed.
Yeah, I think we've increased in. I mean, we're definitely still very much outnumbered compared to the larger populace of like Twitch and stuff like that. But um, I think the need, because people have recognized the need. I think just like the amount of people I've seen of Christians like entering into, streaming and engaging into gaming culture and trying to, like you said, redeem that time and things like that. And like it just makes sense. Like, okay, you know, and I have family members that still don't fully 100% understand what I do, why I do it.
Yeah.
You know, they still think of gaming as number one, the ultimate time waster, and number two, the ultimate kids thing. Like, why are you, as like a 35-year-old man, for me, like, why are you still playing video games? Like, that's a kids thing. Like, it's just something and video games have evolved so much from your
Mhm.
like your
Your
Mario,
Marios.
yeah,
Yeah.
and things like that. And to be able to use something like that to share Christ's love and
Mhm.
to honor the Lord through that, to me, is just a no-brainer. And like Lucas said, and it's just one way that I can take something that I enjoy and give it to God, give it as a
Mhm.
sacrifice to Him,
Yeah.
and let Him do what He wants with it. So I think that's really awesome. And also, to your point about being able to build community, like 10 years ago and stuff, like we didn't have anything like Discord and stuff like that. Um, like not even 15 years ago, like if you told me, like, back in 2006, 2007, that you'd be able to like watch people play video games online and engage with those people and talk with people who love stuff like that, like I would have pined for that. But we've come so far in the technology and being able to connect with other people.
Mhm.
It's just, and just the fact that we as a podcast get to have, like, just a little itty bitty tiny slice of the internet to be able to build community. And we have people that of varying degrees of faith or non-faith, and that's, we love them. We welcome them to our community. I mean, we're certainly not afraid to share what we believe, and they know where we stand on things. Um and we're definitely gonna talk about it. But it's just cool to be able to build something like that with all of these tools, and to use it
Mhm.
for His glory and for building His kingdom. So uh
Yeah.
definitely on board with that. um
Yeah.
so a question I had is, so what would you say, and I like to ask this question of a lot of people in ministry, what would you say is the greatest challenge of the ministry currently? What would you say is the biggest thing?
Honestly, it's like I first want to say, like, what some of the assumptions people think is tough is like breaking that barrier to like be able to talk with people
Yeah.
about like our beliefs and different things. But like, honestly, like we've been given so many cool opportunities and like those open doors to where it's like these big publishers are asking like for us to come back, and they know exactly who we are. They're not believers, but they like want us around. people ask them about like, oh, how do you like working with this group of people? And like they just talk like so like well of us, and like hey, I highly recommend them if you can, if they got a big enough team. And so it's like, and then being able to just sit down and like talk to people, it's like the opportunities are there. But one of the biggest struggles is like meeting that demand of, hey, there's countless publishers out there that need help, that need like people to just fill in. And that's like just wide open doors for us to send missionaries, physical missionaries into the space to, to be able to serve them, and then like just cut them loose and have them meet other people. And so this last trip, I talked with several publishers, and they're like, hey, you're working with All Play, right? To one of the publishers we work with. And they're like, you're working with them, right? Like you help staff their booth. Like, do you think you could help us out? It's like they told me all this stuff, and I'm like, I would love to. Even some of our publishers that we work with now are like, hey, what are the limits? Like, could you bring 50 people? And I was like, I would love to bring 50 people. But like this past trip of ours was our largest one yet. And it was 26, which is still like 26 missionaries where like we recruit, train them up, and like everything from like, this is how you demo a game to like, hey, this is how you carry yourself. Like not only as a Christian, but as, like a member of the Love Thy Nerd, like missions team, as like when you're in the booth, whatever like publisher you're working with, like this is how you act around, as if you were one of their team members. So we pour a lot into these teams, but like 26 is just a tiny fraction of what like this space needs. So the biggest thing that we need are other people willing to go serve and do this. And this is just the board game industry. Like you said it earlier, like I think you guys are, focused on that. It's not that we're focused on board games. It's just kind of where we got our start, and we're doing well at it. I would love to see us at Comic-Cons, at anime expos, at video game, like all the different PAXs and game, like esports, even down to like Ren fairs. We've had people interested in doing stuff at Ren fairs. And so every corner of those, like every corner of the nerd space is like in high demand for people. And we just need more people to show up and go be the love of Jesus in those spaces.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think I totally connect with you talking about the number of people. Like before my current job now, where I'm a Bible teacher and a chaplain, a little more. I don't do it in a traditional way, but it is more traditional by the nature of working with like a Christian school and stuff. But before that, I was a short-term mission trip coordinator. And when I had the sweet spot for me was like 8 people. And if it got to more than a dozen, like having to get like multiple vans and everything, like you say 26 and I'm like, oh my gosh, that would just be like, you guys all stay right here. Of course, I usually work with college students, so it can get a little crazy.
It's a little nicer with these 26 people because they're all adults, and I'll remind them of that. It's like, hey, I'm here to help. You're all adults though. Like this isn't a youth group. Like field trip. Like you know how to not get stuck here. Like if you need to, like get an Uber, like get home. But like I'm not gonna coordinate every little detail. But I can't imagine doing youth group or college stuff.
Oh yeah, it was a trip. It was fun. It was very life-giving and life-giving away. Like the whole idea of like a mission trip of going and giving. It's crazy. It's like realization of Proverbs 11:25. You give someone a cup of water and your thirst will be refreshed. Like you get it back, and that's not why you do it, but it's just. You understand why Jesus said when he was with the Samaritan woman and they came and they're like, here's your food. And he's like, I got food you guys don't even know about. I'm full. Like I've been doing this. So I totally connect with that and totally.
It's so true. And like, I've had people go on these trips with us and come back and say, dude, that was like, I traveled to Uganda last year, and
Yeah.
this was way harder. Like this was more
Yeah.
physically demanding.
Yeah.
Because we do, you know, we show up early to our shifts. Like the earliest one could be like at 9, so we want to get there, you know, 8:45. But we're at a Airbnb 15 minutes away, and we want to have a team meeting in the morning. So it's like 8 a.m. Everyone's up, ready to go, and we have our team meeting, and then we're like going. So that people are up at 7:30. But then we're there. The show goes, you know, the expo floor is open till like 6, but then from 6 till midnight, or well, honestly, 6 till who knows when, people are playing games, just
Yeah.
open gaming. And that's when we encourage people to go, hey, get plugged in, play games with people. Some people are there solely, like we're joking about like 6-hour long things. Like they're there to play specific games that they don't get to play with anyone back home because nobody wants to play a 6-hour game, but they're there to play these games that last hours, and they'll play through the night. But I encourage our team, like, hey, don't do that, because we want to, you know, show up refreshed the next morning, as refreshed as possible. You know, again, giving them our best, that level of excellence, but like go home, get sleep. But we're typically there till midnight. And then we don't get, you know, wound down and showered and all of that till like 1 a.m. And then we're up at 7 a.m. again. So
Yep.
there's a lot of demand. But all that to say is people are like, man, I'm physically exhausted, but I am spiritually refreshed. I've never had the opportunity to take something that I thought was trivial, you know, or like something, you know, silly as board games, and use that for a greater purpose. And because of that, and the people I met and the relationships I built, I'm spiritually refreshed. So
Awesome.
So you said that, you know, you got your start with board games, but you'd love to see you in like a Comic-Con, you know, things like that. What does that look like? Is there a goal that you guys have set to achieve that? And you know, is that a 5-year, 10-year plan, or what does that look like for you guys?
yeah, I mean, we call it our big, hairy, audacious goals of
BHAG, yes.
Yeah, BHAGs. There you go. We want, like, I would love to see us, like, in the next 5 years, be in 5 different like conventions. So like so we've got the one that we're in, board games. I've dabbled in, I'll call them Comic-Cons. This year, a church actually reached out to us in Phoenix. They're like, hey, we go to Phoenix Fan Fusion every year. We want to be more mission minded. There's like 6 of us that go to this show every year, but from our church, and we want to like take mission trips to that, in that space. Like, can you come like train us, or just come with us so you can get a feel for this space? Because what we do at board game conventions, that's not going to work for esports. That's not going to work for Comic-Cons. It's not going to work at Ren fairs. So I'll come in and kind of like scope out the space with them. We'll meet every day and be like, all right, where did you see the need? So it goes back to that, like, hey, where's the need in the board game space? It's these publishers. They really need help. We're going to fill that need. All right, let's go to so specifically Phoenix Fan Fusion. Like, what's the need here? There's a big like Warhammer 40K scene in Phoenix. These guys at this church, like included, they are all in on the 40K. They're like, what if we like ran events at this, you know, Comic-Con? Because there was a board game or like tabletop gaming space. Like, what if we like ran the events, did like panels, like all of this stuff? I'm like, absolutely, that's a need there. So doing stuff like that. So that was like 2. Then we got board games, Comic-Cons, Ren fairs, anime expos.
Real quick, just to solidify for those of us that don't know what a Ren fair is. Is that where people dress up as Kylo Ren?
All together. It's all Ren.
Many
blow that thing out of the sky.
Yeah.
Just want to get it established for those that don't know.
Renaissance fair.
Right. Renaissance fair. Okay. That makes way
more sense.
No, I like the oops all Rens like kind of con. Yeah, that makes sense too.
There's a Boba Con. There's GroguCon, I'm sure. I mean, I'd
Well, there's like a board game.
Over everything.
Everything's got a name. There's a board game convention here locally called River City Con. It's like, is it just about rivers? What is this? But it's board
like,
games.
do they play River City Rampage? They should if they don't.
Maybe only things with River City in the name.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah,
Very
Renaissance
small
Fair.
convention.
And these spaces,
Yeah.
that's not a space that I have any sort of calling to personally, other than like, hey, I think everyone, needs Jesus. I
You gotta
am
start
not
somewhere.
called into the Renaissance Fair. I'm not called into an anime expo. In fact, I will stick out like a sore thumb. I'm going to show up to a Renaissance Fair dressed as a time traveler because I'm not going
Yeah.
to put on armor or anything. And so, but again, yeah, it's that's our big goal, is to get into all these spaces. What we need to get to that goal is to create the curriculum, like bring in the people that do feel called into that space, train them up, like bring them. My first goal is like, hey, if you want to go to a Renaissance Fair on mission, I'm going to tell you to get out of your comfort zone and come to a board game convention and just learn to do the grunt work, learn to do the stuff, but like first and foremost, like live out your faith in that space. And if you do that, that's part of the training. I will come with you to a Ren Fair and I will get out of my comfort zone and help you find the need in that space to figure that out, and we'll build it up from the ground up there. And so
Yeah.
that's something that
Well, I really
Work.
like the continued repetition of finding the need first, because that's like Jesus's practice number one. And really, I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of churches, like actual just ministry churches, don't
Mhm.
approach that way, and like paying attention to the need and seeking to fill the need, no strings attached. There's
Yeah.
always a string attached or
Mhm.
something like that. So I feel like we can gain a lot from paying attention to that. I mean, I feel like that's what Jesus did as
Mhm.
part of
Oh,
the 30
absolutely.
years is build up.
Yeah.
People are like, what did Jesus do? I'm like, he learned what the need was. Like, he really just got in there. So
Yeah. And we do that everything down to our like local game nights. Like I was talking earlier, we have a game night at our church, but it's not the church game night. It's not the Love Thy Nerd game night. It's a community game night. People are showing up from our neighborhood that would have never set foot in our church otherwise, just to play games. And I have a friend, not a believer, but they're like, hey, if I come to this game night, are you gonna like pray over me in the middle of it? I'm like, no, like legit. All we're gonna
come
do is
and
play
find
games.
out.
Yeah, come. But we're not going to bamboozle people with like, hey, everyone, put your game pieces down. We're going to give you a quick message. I promise it'll be 5 minutes. Like, no, we're play games, fill
Yeah.
that need. And it's really cool because we've seen people come to that and then like start attending church, start coming to like my wife and I small group, like become members at our church. And so all because we put people first.
Yeah.
And we've seen God bless it, and it's grown, and it's really cool to see all sorts of people walk through those doors.
That's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Definitely.
So my next question is, so people hear this mission, hear what you guys are doing, love what you're doing. How can they go ahead and support Love Thy Nerd? What
man.
are the ways that they can support you guys? I mean, obviously, one of the things you mentioned is, you're looking for people
Yeah.
in some
Yeah.
capacity to serve. So expound on that. What are the ways that people could support you guys?
I mean, there's several big ways. First and foremost, like I'll rip the Band-Aid off. Like the first is financially. The ministry isn't free, unfortunately, in most cases.
Nope.
And so each one of us on staff, like we're self-funding missionaries. So you can go to like lovethynerd.com/give or /partner. And there's spaces on there to give the ministry as a whole, but you could also throw my name at the end of that, lovethynerd.com/Luke or Frost. Both of them lead to like my page, tells you a little bit about me. But Yeah, that's that first. Like, we go into these spaces. If you go on a trip with us, there's a bit of fundraising there, so we could get us in. I'm not
Yeah.
making people sleep under a bridge.
What?
Like,
That's part of the experience, man. Come
I
on.
know, right? Are you really on a mission field if it's not awful? Like,
Yeah. We don't do Airbnbs and mission trips. You gotta
I
do
mean,
that bridge life.
so Airbnb used to be a lot nicer for a lot less, and it's like swapped.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's a
That makes
lot
sense.
more expensive for like some real dumps, and so we have some horror.
So now it works
stories.
with missions. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
I'm sure you
So,
do.
and I tell our team, like, through the training, I want to take care of our team just as much as we're taking care of the people that we're meeting in the space. And so if that means, we're going to do a little bit of fundraising so we all can have a decent bed to sleep on in a hotel nearby, like, we're going to do that. And so that's part of it. But other than that, obviously prayer. I have a newsletter myself. Love Thy Nerd has a newsletter. If you go to lovethynerd.com, like, scroll all the way down, you can sign up for the newsletter. That gives you just stuff that's going on. You can follow us on the socials of upcoming things to be praying for or experiences. But then again, on my page, that's where you can find the link to mine. But yeah, staying in prayer, sharing this with other people, like, share this episode. I'm sure all of the listeners here share the GMG podcast episodes all the time, but, like, specifically, if you're listening to this and, like, someone comes to mind, send this one to them. Because, like, a lot of people don't know that something like this exists. 30 years ago, if anyone mentioned, like, sports ministry, people would scratch their heads, like, what the heck is that? That doesn't sound real.
Yeah.
And now, like, every church almost has some sort of pickup ball, like, on the weekends, some sort of sports ministry. Like, sports ministry pastor is an actual title. So who's to say 30 years from now, like, nerd culture ministry pastor, like, won't be a thing. And so
Xbot ministry.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I want to see chaplains.
Sony Pony
in
ministry.
esports.
Yeah.
Like,
Sony Pony Ministry. I don't know. I mean, let's work on the naming of that.
Yeah,
but I think, like, we're
all right. Maybe that's not the right.
We all
kind of
know
name.
they need
You know what I mean.
all the Sony ponies.
they named each other, so it's
we'll workshop that later.
Xbox guys.
But yeah, just, like, spreading the word. That's the easiest
Yeah.
and freest thing to do. And then, yeah, like, if you want to come on mission, like, if you're like, hey, I'm a board gamer, I want to be a help in one of those spaces. Like, we go to at least a dozen different mission trips. Like, I've got one. Marc reached out and was like, hey, do you have a Tuesday that's free in the next, couple weeks? I'm like, I literally have one Tuesday free in the next, like, 2 months. And so, well, yeah, if you want to, we've got tons of mission trips coming up. So if you want to be a part of that, lovethynerd.com/outreach will take you to that page. I need to update it because I've been slacking since Gen Con. But our next big one that we're recruiting for is PAX Unplugged. So a lot of you guys are familiar with, like, the PAX East, PAX West.
Yep.
PAX Unplugged is, like, strictly board games. And it's in Philadelphia the first weekend of December. Super good show. Like, we love it. Registration for that is open. So if that interests you, like, just go sign up. I'll schedule, like, a talk with you, interview with you, and get to know you a little bit, but tell you more about that trip specifically. Or if you have space, if you have a space like a Renaissance Fair or like an Anime Expo or just a local con that you want to do, like, go on mission in that space, just reach out to me, Luke at lovethynerd.com. And again, like, if you need any info, contact info, schedule a meeting, newsletter, links, whatever you want, lovethynerd.com/Luke. I'm happy to answer any questions. So those are the big ones.
Nice.
There's a lot.
Absolutely. So one last real question, and this is kind of a lighter question. So obviously we've mentioned to you that we're more on the gaming side of things,
Yeah.
like the video game side of things versus
Yeah.
board games. So what you playing right now?
Mm-hmm. All right. I just got back into Marvel Snap.
I'm gonna just plug my ears a second.
Oh no!
So
I'm just kidding.
We
I'm
got
not
one
plugging
that we got one that
I'm
we
a
got one that loves
recovering
it, and had
snapaholic.
to leave it.
Yeah. Okay. Same. I legit took a break for like a year, and then they brought in the alliance. Like you can join an alliance, and so all my board game buddies that I see at shows, like legit, I only see these guys at conventions across the U.S. They all started an alliance, and they're like, "You should come back. You should come back. We could do this thing." So I went back, and I would say it's like riding a bike, but it's not. They changed so many cards, and I'll like play something, and it does something completely
And you
different.
think
I'm
it,
like,
yeah.
I've
heard of that a little bit.
I made myself look like an idiot. But literally, like I've been playing for like 4 days. Like I just got back.
You're fresh back into it after a year break.
After an entire year,
Wow.
fresh back into it. So we'll see.
What am I on? I'm like on 9 month break.
Well,
I could have Marvel Snap, baby.
I recommend taking a break for a year and then jumping back into it, and then
I'm definitely not tempted
at all the cards that have changed.
I reached a very dark place. That was really fun at the time, but it was man.
Yeah.
I was a Galactus main when I was hardcore into it. I love just ruining people's days with a Galactus.
I was a Galactus guy for a while. The only thing there's 2 cards I have 0 tolerance for. One is Leader.
Oh,
it's like
gosh. He has no originality. He's just like, hey,
tell me you don't know how to play this game without telling me you don't know how to play this game.
Yeah.
Again, okay. Jesus loves everyone, but like Leader players, just
play
something else.
They're the Judas in the room.
They need more of Jesus.
Yeah, they do.
And for those of you listening that don't know what he does now, like if you play him, it's typically on the final turn. He copies the highest cost card of like what the opponent plays. So if somebody plays him against me, and I play this super, high card where I'm like, oh, cool, I'm gonna win. He flips that and copies it, and it's like, well, you just did my move, and it's like there's no originality.
Yep.
There's no skill. You stole my winning move. The other one is High Evo, where it's just like,
where he
turns all the cards without abilities into just basically like a negative factory, just giving you negative.
It really is a negative factory. Like, I enjoyed him though a little bit, just for kicks and giggles. But I've
never played him, and I've never played Leader ever. So, I'm playing that. I still dabble in Destiny from time to time. The last DLC was fantastic. Like some of the best storytelling that I've seen.
Ryan is gonna.
I mean, if you're a Destiny
Ryan is
player,
kicking
you're always
himself
dabbling.
right now. Yeah,
he didn't even show up. Period.
So
what the heck?
Again, I took about a year break last year from Destiny, and the only reason I'm playing it this year is somebody gifted me the latest DLCs, and so.
Well, I mean, with Destiny, when you're gone for a year, you just letting all the the content just build up, and then when you jump back in, it's like a whole new game again. It's great.
It really is, because the onboarding for that game for new and returning players is awful, and it's like, what the heck am I doing? What game is this?
How was I so high level? I don't remember any of these buttons.
Like, why am I doing this to myself?
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah. What are these things? But no, it like legit, like the story was great. That was, it's good. I do like the community. I have a lot of friends that like I've met through Destiny, some like really good relationships where I met them online and we met up in person. So I dabble. And then again, I feel like I've been getting eye rolls for every answer so far. And so my third one, I'm going for the trifecta here. I'm on that Fortnite grind, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go.
You got friends.
However, I'm a zero build. You guys like zero build?
Yes.
Okay.
You're in the right company.
We play nothing but zero build. We will not play those games.
I hated on Fortnite when it was just Fortnite, like builds.
Yeah. Yep.
I was like, I would play. I'm like, these guns are cool, but I don't use them because everyone's just building. It's just building simulator, and I don't find joy in shooting buildings.
I love those videos where it's just like, oh, there's an enemy. Oh, I'm on top of the map now. It's like, oh my gosh, how did you do that?
So I'm like, I'm just not gonna play it because like that is not even the Marvel IP could pull me in, and I'm a huge Marvel fan, and it's just like, oh, we're doing this Galactus thing. You could be Spider-Man and all these Marvel people, and I'm like, yeah, but there's building. That sounds awful. And so then they announced the 0 builds, and I was like, you have my attention.
That brought me in.
You have my attention. But it was still like a season or two after that my wife and I started a young adult group for our church because it didn't exist. And people saw the need, and we saw the need because my brother-in-law moved in with us, and we wanted him to have community and not just like our community. So we built that, and they all played Fortnite. And so I'm like, all right, if you guys could do 0 build, I'll hop in. I'll meet you guys where we're at, like exactly what we've been talking about, and I'll play Fortnite. And then I got hooked. Like that first season, I got, over 200. Yeah. And I had like 50 some crown wins, and like it was just ridiculous. I don't have that anymore. Like that was like more people played. Now less of them play, and I just feel like I have to complete the battle pass to get, my money's worth. But that being said, I'm playing 0 builds. I'm enjoying it, except this season I had that realization again to where it's like, I like the gunplay in this game. That's why I play it. And I just won with 0 guns. I have a shield that I can throw. I have a jetpack. I have an auto turret. I have heals. I have 0 guns, and I feel slimy. I might need a break.
You play with what they give you.
That's why I hated last season. I hated last season because of all the freaking turret cars. I couldn't stand that crap.
It was fun for like 4 days, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, everyone's doing this, just driving around."
Yeah,
this is
Twisted Metal.
This isn't Fortnite anymore. This is Twisted
But
Metal.
that was kind of like, I figured this out towards the end, and I wish they had it earlier. But the annoying people in the cars are the ones that can't play Fortnite. So you get them out of the car by throwing an EMP or something, and then they're just like shooting the sky, and it's just
those couple weeks where they had the boogie bombs, and you threw that at the car, and they jumped out dancing. Oh, those are the best.
Yeah. Like by the end, we were having a ton of fun with it, just forcing people out of cars, just like destroying people, getting dub after dub, and it was like, I wish I carried around these EMPs the whole season, but yeah, so cool. Glad. Okay, right. I didn't get the trifecta for the eye rolls, but
you didn't.
Yeah,
third time's the charm.
That's the one I play the most, just because of the community. Like, there's just a lot of people I play with. So
yeah, we have a regular group of guys, Pat and I, and a couple of guys from our buddy Justin and our buddy Tim from the community. Yeah, we play regularly. So
3 times a week.
Yeah. So
cool. Well,
hit us up.
Find me on Epic.
Yeah. Are you FrostByte 4 on Epic?
I am indeed. Yep.
Cool.
On Epic.
Have to look you up.
Do it.
Do it. All right. Well, Luke, we're gonna before we go ahead and wrap things up here, we just want to go ahead and we're gonna pray for you. And we're going to pray for the ministry with Love Thy Nerd and everything. So let's go ahead and pray, shall we? Father God, I thank you so much for this time that we've had. And I thank you so much for, this podcast and being able to meet some awesome people, and especially for Luke, and the fact that we can just talk with him about his life and about his ministry and everything that Love Thy Nerd does. I'm so thankful that there are people out there that are recognizing the need to share the love of Jesus, in the space of things that they love, and they're there to redeem the time and to do it for your glory, God. And so I just thank you for that, and we just want to lift up Luke and the whole Love Thy Nerd ministry, Lord. You know their needs. You know that they're looking for more people to be able to serve, and so Lord, I just pray that you would just I think of the whole, the harvest is plenty, but the workers are few. And so we just ask that you just provide workers, provide people to come and want to serve and want to love on people as Christ loves them, and that you would just continue to open the doors for their ministry, help them to, reach those goals those desires that you've placed on their hearts to serve you in those goals, God, that you would be able to expand their reach, to be able to go to different conventions and be able to, to serve in those capacities as well, Lord. Would you just continue to move in their ministry and help them to remember the goal of it all, and that is to see Jesus glorified, to share the gospel with those who they come in contact with, and to love one another. And so I just pray that you would continue to just strengthen their ministry, God. And we ask these things in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
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 Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah. Well, Luke, thank you so much for joining us, man. We appreciate you jumping on here and sharing everything about you and about Love Thy Nerd and taking the time. I'm glad we had a Tuesday to be able to get you on here.
Yeah, seriously, thanks for having me. You guys, half of you guys didn't even know who I was, so that shows a lot of trust in Marc here for.
Oh yeah, he's our ambassador with guests.
Yeah,
now
Mark's
you have
gonna
a
bring
friend.
someone on. It's got to be someone important. So, what you're doing is really cool. So, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. All right, Lucas, I turn it over to you, sir.
All righty then. Well, that's it from us, from Patrick, Marc, Luke, and myself. How about you, dear joiner? If you want to share what's new in your neck of the woods, let's do some quick housekeeping where we offer you towels, fluff pillows, topped with Andy's candies, and tip you off to how you can connect with the GMGU on Twitter, Discord, Facebook, and Instagram. You can sure you can share. What's new with you? Kind of like,
I was gonna say there wasn't really very much of any, but
kind of like appliance whack-a-mole, which I will say I was very disappointed to not be on the podcast when Aaron revealed that his HVAC was working.
Yep.
Finally, after months,
I could not believe it.
Of disappointment.
We both missed it.
We both missed it. We got sick last week.
Had to get sick.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we just need to do that more often. So
yeah, we get sick and the air conditioning's fixed. So whatever works. That connection makes total sense. But he did have a question for you, Luke. He wants to know how Atreus is doing.
He's grounded.
You heard it here first, folks. You are grounded, Aaron. Sorry about your luck. Have you played?
No, Atreus is grounded, but yeah, Aaron is grounded too for asking that.
Yeah, Atreus. And have you played the God of War series?
We talked about this before the show. I played not the first one, but the first new one, just God of War. Yep. And then I started Ragnarok, but I never finished it, unfortunately.
That's fair. We don't hold that against you.
I think you're doing better than Ryan is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is too.
Hey, this is my message to Ryan. You need to play Spider-Man all the way through.
Yeah, see it through, man.
Do it.
Just in all its glory.
Yep.
So good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we concur. He has no choice now. He's been triple dog dared. So let's see. If you'd rather connect with us visually or spectatorly, there is YouTube and Twitch. A plethora of other joiners stream on our Discord. So please find their links there and check them out. Also, definitely check out FrostByte, aka Luke, and the Love Thy Nerd streams. And do you guys have like multiple? What's your streaming
situation.
Programming. I don't know. I don't know how to call it, like your daily schedule. I don't know.
Well, the Love Thy Nerd streams are pretty sporadic. Right now, at the time of recording, they're playing College Football 25. So if that's your jam,
All right.
they're
Ooh,
playing in a
yes.
tournament.
Who are they playing as? Oh,
We
okay.
got. Oh, what do we have? I don't know. I don't football. Who is this?
That's fair. That's fair.
Akron and.
All right. That's a
Kennesaw
weird
State?
choice.
I don't know.
What in the world? They're picking some random teams.
Well, they're
Akron
doing
and Western Missouri.
There's a new
Missouri.
What is it? There's a new fantasy mode where fantasy football where so it's I think you get paired
Ultimate
up with
team?
different teams.
Okay.
Well, it's a whole they're doing the whole tournament thing. So I think
yeah.
you just get who you get.
Yeah.
Tune
That
into
makes sense.
the Twitch and find out for yourself.
Yeah, tune in. Finally, on our Patreon and our merch page, you can support and gear up with us. So click that one link to rule them all, either in the show notes or you can type it out real quick. Linktree.com/thegmgpod. Of course, if you can't toss your attention or a coin to your podcasters, but are still the giving type, please rate and review us on Apple Podcast, Podchaser, and Spotify. It helps us reach new joiners through stars, exclamation marks, and your feedback. So let your voice be heard, literally, if you prefer, at 929 GMG Guys. Give us a call. Alrighty then, Pat, along with Mark and Luke. I am not your father. Along with our beloved friends, family,
You're
and
grounded.
joiners. Go get your good morning this week, and may God bless and guide your lives as you live, as you work, and as you game.
1, 2, 3.